On Tuesday, Team Korea arrived home from the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics, with President Yo-jong commending the athletes for their tenacity and the pride they ignited across the nation. The National Assembly may be entering its longest ever plenary session, with the opposition triggering a filibuster to block a number of controversial ruling party-supported bills. U.S. President Donald Trump's new global tariff went into effect at 10% after the Supreme Court struck down much of his broad import tax program last week. South Korea's winter sports heroes have officially returned home after competing at the 2026 Milan Cortina Winter Olympics. Officials and fans gathered to congratulate the team and honor their efforts as the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism hosted a welcoming ceremony. Our Jung Hae-rim was there.
Flight KE928 from Milan arrived at Incheon International Airport around 4 p.m. local time on Tuesday, bringing home the main Milan Cortina Winter Olympics delegation of 53 people. Athletes walked through the arrival gate to cheers, applause, and homecoming banners, marking the end of their Olympic journey. This returning group contained some of the nation's most followed ice athletes, including 14 short track speed skaters, 11 speed skaters, and 4 figure skaters. A grand welcoming ceremony was held at Terminal 2 to celebrate their arrival. South Korea's Culture Minister Choi Hee-young, alongside Korean Sport and Olympic Committee President Yoo Seung-min, was on site to personally greet the delegation. Choi presented flowers to the head of the delegation, Lee Soo-kyung, and delivered congratulatory remarks.
Every hard-fought moment has given young, aspiring athletes new possibilities and courage for the future. I would like to extend my deepest respect and gratitude to all the national team athletes and officials.
During the results report, he announced that South Korea wrapped up the games with 3 gold, 4 silver, and 3 bronze medals. She highlighted a historic milestone, declaring South Korea the first Asian country to hold Olympic gold medals across ice, snow, and sliding sports. In the athlete interviews that followed, short track gold medalist Kim Gi-lee drew laughter from the crowd when asked about her special ride home, a Lamborghini SUV provided as a nod to her racing nickname, Lamborghini.
I am so thankful and happy that so many people welcomed us as soon as we arrived in Korea. I'm thrilled that my nickname led to such a special connection. It's my first time riding a car like this, so I'm really curious and can't wait to get in.
Officials say they will continue supporting athletes as they prepare for future international competitions. Tuesday's ceremony marks not just a celebration of results, but a recognition of the athletes' hard work and commitment. Jung Hae-rim, Arirang News.
And President Lee also expressed his appreciation to South Korean athletes and staff who competed at the Winter Games during today's cabinet meeting. Our Blue House correspondent Song Yu-jin has more.
Tuesday's cabinet meeting at the Blue House opened with a round of applause for Team Korea at the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics.
우리 격려의 박수 한번 부탁드릴까요? 수고 많으셨습니다.
President Lee praised the athletes and staff, saying they brought pride and inspiration to the nation. At the same time, he called for measures to make it easier for the public to watch such major sporting events.
과거 국제 대회에 비교하면 사회적인 열기가 충분히 고조되지 못했던 아쉬움이 있습니다. 국제적 행사에 대한 우리 국민들의 접근성을 폭넓게 보장하는 제도 개선이 필요합니다.
Lee's remarks appear to refer to cable network JTBC's exclusive domestic broadcast of the Games. JTBC secured broadcast rights for the Olympics from 2026 through 2032 from the International Olympic Committee in 2019. However, negotiations to sub-license coverage to other Korean broadcasters ultimately collapsed, reportedly due to the high costs. The president also touched on tourism, noting a surge in international visitors during last week's Lunar New Year holiday.
이번 설 연휴 기간에도 면세점, 백화점 등의 외국인 매출이 폭발적으로 늘어났다고 합니다. 이런 흐름을 우리 관광산업의 질적 도약의 발판으로 삼아야 되겠습니다.
Yi, who previously described tourism as a key driver of economic growth, urged his cabinet to address the heavy concentration of visitors in Seoul, which accounts for roughly 80% of inbound tourism. He suggested region-specific travel programs and stronger action against chronic problems such as price gouging and aggressive touting. This comes as the government aims to attract 30 million inbound tourists annually. The Culture Ministry estimates that a record 18.7 million traveled to South Korea last year. President Yi is expected to soon chair the National Tourism Strategy meeting, which could be held as early as this month. Currently presided over by the Prime Minister, the meeting coordinates tourism policy across government ministries. Yi's participation will mark the first time in 7 years that a sitting president has attended. 송유진, Arirang News.
Now, over at the National Assembly, a major political showdown is unfolding as an opposition-led filibuster threatens to stretch the plenary session for days. Our Moon Hae-ryun has the details.
South Korea's National Assembly is heading into what could be its longest plenary session after an opposition-led filibuster was triggered by a series of controversial bills backed by the ruling party. During Tuesday's session, lawmakers first voted to approve the arrest of former Democratic Party lawmaker Kang Sun-woo, who is accused of accepting illegal campaign donations. The ruling party then introduced revisions to the Commercial Act, along with 3 judicial reform bills that would expand the Supreme Court, establish a new appeal system, and penalize officials accused of distorting legal rulings. As soon as the revision to the Commercial Act was reported to the floor, the People Power Party launched a filibuster with 8 bills remaining on the agenda.
The Democratic Party says it will forcibly push through the 3 bills that destroy the judiciary. But these are clearly unconstitutional laws. They are a model of a totalitarian dictatorship.
Even if the People Power Party blocks us with baseless filibusters, we will stay focused solely on the people and steadily carry out the work that needs to be done.
The plenary session came just hours after the Legislation and Judiciary Committee approved a special act on administrative integration for Jeollanam-do Province and Gwangju, led by the ruling Democratic Party. Votes on similar integration bills for Chungcheongnam-do Province and Daejeon, as well as Gyeongsangbuk-do Province and Daegu, were put on hold, with lawmakers citing the need to further assess regional public opinion. The selective passage drew sharp criticism from the People Power Party, which said it does not oppose administrative integration in principle, but accused the ruling party of fast-tracking bills for politically favorable regions without clear standards, including fiscal support. The Democratic Party pushed back, accusing the opposition of holding the bills hostage through filibusters and blocking regional development, while parliamentary rules mean only 1 bill can be processed per day due to the 24-hour waiting period to end debate. The political standoff is expected to drag on for its longest yet, with the DP saying it will continue to hold plenary sessions to process legislation until the end of the February extraordinary session on March 3rd. Moon Hae-ryun, Arirang News.
Presidential Chief of Staff Kang Won-sik has departed for the UAE to discuss cooperation on AI and the defense industry. He's set to discuss follow-ups to last year's summit between President Lee Jae-myung and his UAE counterpart Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan. The 2 countries are reportedly looking for a possible joint development of a weapon system to expand arms cooperation beyond exports. Now, it's Kang's 3rd visit to Abu Dhabi as a special presidential envoy for strategic economic cooperation. South Korea's local elections on June 3rd will be a critical point for South Korea's both ruling and main opposition parties, marking the first nationwide elections since the launch of the Lee Jae-myung administration. With around 100 days to go, we have our political correspondent An Sung-jin to discuss how the political situation is unfolding and what processes are left. Welcome back, Sung-jin.
Thanks for having me, Dami.
So, Sung-jin, what are some of the major issues shaping the elections, and what are some of the major battlegrounds?
Right, great question, Dami. So let's first go over some of the key issues that will be shaping the local elections on June 3rd. Now we have judicial reform, real estate policy, and regional restructuring. The special investigation into the previous administration's insurrection has become a key variable as the ruling party pushes for a sweeping judicial reform. While property issues have traditionally been a vulnerability to incumbent governments, some voters reportedly believe that the administration's stabilization measures will be effective, which may suggest that the housing policy this time could become a strategic advantage for the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, the proposed administration's merger between Daejeon City and Chungcheongnam-do Province is another major variable. The number of top local government posts will be halved while doubling the political weight. As for the pivotal battlegrounds, the capital region, particularly Seoul, remains the election's core arena. Incumbent Mayor Oh Se-un, a leading conservative figure, is seeking a fifth term while the DP aims to reclaim the position. In Busan, the race is looking increasingly competitive with a sign of growing undecided voters, which may make it a potential bellwether that could determine overall momentum between the rival camps.
Right, it does look to be a fierce competition among parties on these policies. Now, Sung-jin, why is the June 3rd election so critical for both the ruling and the main opposition parties?
Right, so the upcoming local election will be a pivotal political test for both parties, just as you mentioned. With the elections determining the leadership of local governments nationwide, the stakes are high for both parties. From the ruling party, victory is viewed as essential to maintain its reforms, while for the main opposition party, the local vote offers an opportunity for a political comeback. For the ruling Democratic Party, it is widely seen as a midterm assessment of the Lee Jae-myung administration's first year in office. Now, the vote will be a reflection of the administration's early policy direction as the party looks to push forward with its tangible achievements during the government's first year. At the same time, it will serve as a crucial moment for the main opposition People Power Party as it tries to recover from internal turmoil. The PPP looks to lay the groundwork for broader conservative rebuilding efforts. Now, party officials are confident that the June 3rd elections will signal whether voters are satisfied with the new government's direction, suggesting it has confidence in gauging public sentiment since the change in administration. Now, one of the most significant uncertainties less ties within the broader ruling party coalition after merger talks between the DP and Rebuilding Korea Party fell through, and discussion shifted toward forming an electoral alliance instead.
So, Sung-jin, 100 days to go till June 3rd. What's left in the election process?
Right, so let's take a look at the rest of the process for the local elections. Now, registration already began for preliminary candidates for multiple government members, including provincial governors, superintendents of education, and city council members. All candidates must complete their official candidate registration between May 14th and 15th. And now, once the final list of candidates is confirmed, the official election campaign period begins, where candidates can legally conduct full-scale campaign activities. Now, soon after, candidate debates and discussions will be held, and early voting will take place nationwide from May 29th to 30th. On the official election day, which is June 3rd, voting will take place at designated polling stations, with the ballot counting beginning immediately. As the 100-day countdown begins, the June 3rd local elections will be a defining moment to not only measure the performance of the current administration, but also test the opposition's political grounding, so we will have to keep close attention to it till the end comes.
Right, Sung-jin, you'll have to keep us posted for the next 3 months. Thanks for the preview.
My pleasure as always, Dami.
The Trump administration's new 10% global tariff has officially taken effect as of Tuesday, 2:01 p.m. Korean time. While U.S. President Donald Trump said he will push for a 15% rate, U.S. customs officials are now, for now, maintaining the original baseline. Our Park Junan has the latest.
Starting at 12:01 a.m. Tuesday Eastern Standard Time, U.S. President Donald Trump's new global tariff officially took effect at a 10% rate on most imports from around the world. This is 5 percentage points below the 15% rate President Trump announced over the weekend for all trading partners. Following a proclamation signed late last week under Section 122 of the Trade Act of 1974, the provision authorizes the president to impose temporary surcharges of up to 15% for a maximum of 150 days to address serious U.S. trade deficits or balance of payments imbalances without prior approval from Congress. Trump's move came as a direct response to last Friday's Supreme Court decision, which struck down many of its earlier reciprocal and country-specific tariffs imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, ruling that the president had exceeded his authority. As a response, Trump on Friday initially proposed a 10% global tariff. But just one day later, citing the need to counter unfair trade practices, he raised the tariff rate to 15%. However, just hours before the imposition of 15% tariff, U.S. Customs and Border Protection issued guidance to importers confirming the initial 10% rate applies for now. The global tariff does not apply to certain critical categories such as energy products, pharmaceuticals, and key agricultural goods, among others. In response, China's Ministry of Commerce has urged the U.S. to revoke unilateral tariff measures and refrain from imposing new ones, while expressing willingness to engage in candid consultations during the upcoming sixth round of economic and trade talks between the two countries. Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal reported that the Trump administration is considering new national security tariffs under Section 232 on key industries. These include large-scale batteries, cast iron fittings, plastic piping, industrial chemicals, and power grid and telecom equipment. The shift to item-specific tariffs is seen as the administration's key alternative strategy since the Supreme Court ruling left Trump's existing sector-based tariffs under Section 232 untouched. White House officials and the U.S. Trade Representative have indicated that adjusted tariff measures may come in the future. Park Junan, Arirang News.
Now, over in North Korea, the regime's 9th Workers' Party Congress entered its 6th day on Tuesday. And as of yet, there have been no messages directed toward Seoul or Washington. Meanwhile, though, the sister of the regime's leader, Kim Yo-jong, was promoted to a department head within the ruling party. Park Kwon-woo has more.
Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, has been promoted from vice director of a department to the head of an undisclosed department at the ruling Workers' Party. According to North Korea's state-run Korea Central News Agency on Tuesday, the decision was made on Monday, the 5th day of the 9th Workers' Party Congress. Kim Yo-jong was also reinstated as an alternate member of the Politburo, the party's highest policy-making body, after having been demoted to an ordinary Central Committee member 5 years ago. The KCNA also announced the 5 members of the Politburo Standing Committee, the regime's highest decision-making body when plenary meetings of the party's Central Committee are not in session. Led by Kim Jong-un, the newly reshuffled body now consists of Premier Park Tae-sung, Cho Yong-won, and newly appointed Kim Jae-ryong and Lee Il-hwan. The change marks a generational shift in leadership as former senior member Choi Dong-hae was removed.
A signal of Kim Jong-un consolidating power under people who are loyal to him, like people who owe their status and their power and the position to him rather than the previous successor. A lot of the older folks will have still ties to the previous leader, Kim Jong-il.
An official from South Korea's Unification Ministry also said Tuesday that Kim Jong-un's governance capacity and overall party leadership are expected to be strengthened through this generational shift. The official added that this view is backed by the increase in party secretariat secretaries and the presumed restoration of the international secretary post. Remarks were also reported by Kim Jong-un from Monday's meeting, where he said that no challenge or change in circumstances would be able to slow or stop the North's advance. No specific messages were issued regarding external policies towards South Korea or the U.S., as his remarks focused largely on domestic issues.
This Party Congress has been a little bit less forthcoming on details compared to the last one. They don't want to say anything that's going to trip them up later, depending on how the talks with Trump and Xi play out. And so I think it's just a bit of cautious strategic sort of positioning and sort of just waiting to see how that plays out to figure out what their next step is going to be.
Meanwhile, the current party Congress has now entered its 6th day, while the previous session lasted a total of 8 days. Park Kwon-woo, Arirang News.
U.S. forces have reinforced their presence in the region surrounding Iran, raising concerns over a potential attack ahead of key negotiations for Thursday over in Geneva. Our Cho Young-eun has this report.
The U.S. Department of State on Monday ordered non-essential diplomats and their family members at the U.S. Embassy in Beirut to leave Lebanon due to safety risks. The development came amid intensifying regional tensions with concerns over potential military action by the U.S. against Iran. The outcome of the nuclear negotiation in Geneva this Thursday could determine whether the standoff moves towards a compromise. Addressing media suggestions of internal opposition to any military action, Trump dismissed reports that General Dean Cain opposed a strike. "I am the one that makes the decision. I would rather have a deal than not. But if we don't make a deal, it would be a very bad day for that country and very sadly its people," Trump wrote on social media. The president's determination could hinge in part on the judgment of his special envoys, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, about whether Tehran is deliberately stalling negotiations over curbing its nuclear capabilities. Iran has issued a stern warning in response to reports that Washington may be considering limited military action to pressure Iran into accepting U.S. terms. Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister described the upcoming talks in Geneva as a new window of opportunity while cautioning that any attack on Iran could spark a broader regional conflict. Officials rejected the idea of a so-called limited strike, with any act of aggression to be met with a forceful response under Iran's inherent right to self-defense.
An act of aggression would be regarded as an act of aggression, period, and any state would react to an act of aggression as part of its inherent right of self-defense ferociously. So that's what we would do.
The upcoming round of negotiations is expected to focus on Iran's uranium enrichment levels and the potential easing of sanctions, as both sides face mounting pressure to choose between diplomacy and confrontation. 조영은, 아리랑 뉴스.
After an early taste of spring-like weather, we were back to mid-winter conditions today with a heavy snow advisory issued in parts of the central and southern regions. Most of the snow in central regions in 전라북도 will let up tonight, while 전라남도 and 경상도 provinces could see a mix of rain and snow through tomorrow morning. But some welcome news. Spring-like weather returns tomorrow afternoon after a chilly start in the capital, starting off at -1 degree Celsius, Daegu at 3 degrees. Then by the afternoon, Seoul will jump to 15 degrees Celsius. Daejeon will be topping out at 13 degrees under cloudier skies for southern regions with decent air quality nationwide. Jeju, however, is forecast to see more wet weather through the end of the week. Meanwhile, most regions will enjoy early spring-like conditions. With that in mind, here's a look at the international weather conditions.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Dami. From all of us here at Arirang, thanks for watching and good night.